Well, good afternoon. It is a privilege to join you all here today. It's not often they let me eat before they make me work, so that was very nice of the Chamber. Thank you all very, very much. Glad to join Senator McDaniel today as we highlight what is at stake in the 2016 presidential election. I want to take you all back, January of this year. The chief executive for the U.S. Chamber, Thomas Donahue, said that there were quote-unquote loud voices that had talk of wanting to wall off the United States from talent and trade. He called that, quote, morally wrong and politically stupid. 2 months later, Thomas Donahue got a little bit more direct, saying, quote, Donald Trump has very little idea of what trade really is. Then, proving that Donald Trump isn't the only one that can come up with 140 character comebacks, the U.S. Chamber recently tweeted out, under Donald Trump's plans, we would see an increase in prices, fewer jobs, and a weaker economy. Now, where we are here today, the U.S. Chamber, on its very website, warns of what a Donald Trump presidency would look like, noting Donald Trump has promised to make America great again. Does a recession sound good to you? Question mark. Do 7 million lost jobs sound like winning? You can imagine, several weeks ago when I got the call from my office that said the Chamber would like you to show up and speak on behalf of Hillary Clinton, I was excited to be here with y'all today. Very rarely does somebody do my work before I come in the door. My pledge to you is that my words today will not be as harsh as those already uttered by the U.S. Chamber and Thomas Donahue regarding Donald Trump. The issues that are at the forefront, especially as they relate to the Chamber, well, issue after issue, I believe there is one clear candidate for the job. I'm mindful, though, that each and every one of you, when you came through these doors here today, unlike me, you weren't 100% decided on the camp within which you might fall. Some not quite yet there for Hillary Clinton, some not sure of Donald Trump. But what I can tell you is after reviewing not just the rhetoric, but the reality of the policies that have been put forward, Thomas Donahue, the U.S. Chamber's own words, tell you that Hillary Clinton is the candidate of choice, especially for our business community. Take, for instance, foreign policy. And Donald Trump, we have someone who wants to increase the amount of nuclear weapons all across the world, someone who wants to praise Putin while putting down the Pope, someone who wants to abandon our NATO alliances, believing that when it comes to solving the war on ISIS, well, his own words, I don't want to misquote him, I know more than the generals do. Folks, it's why 50 GOP security advisors most recently endorsed Secretary Clinton, believing that Donald Trump's lack of qualification, that his unstable foreign policy rhetoric would leave this place that we call America, our economy, the global economy, in a horrible shape, that they have endorsed Secretary Clinton, who, as you all know, her record, especially when it comes to foreign policy, it's immense. She brought Iran to the table with crippling sanctions to reduce the number of nuclear weapons we have in the United States, believing that we are stronger, not just nationally, but globally, when we support our alliances and stand by those in NATO who were there for us when terror struck this country on 9/11. You know, just this weekend, on Saturday, I woke up at 6 a.m. to be at the airport, in Bluegrass Airport. Somber day. We celebrated the 10th anniversary of the crash of Flight 5191, but the airport got a much-needed facelift in terms of smiles as we helped to send 42 of our nation's heroes, veterans dating all the way back to the Korean War, on an honor flight to Washington, D.C. When we talk about foreign policy, we have to be mindful that it's Donald Trump who wants to dishonor each and every one of our men and women in military, those veterans that we sent to Washington, D.C. on an honor flight, when he calls us the weakest nation in the world. His stances on immigration don't get much better. This very room, coming up this week, we will celebrate a naturalization ceremony here in Louisville, where many have taken the steps they need to earn that pathway to citizenship. It's a joyous occasion. It's one of my most favorite things to do as Secretary of State. But in Donald Trump's America, when it comes to immigration, none of those individuals would be able to take that pledge of allegiance. For Donald Trump, building walls is what immigration policy is all about, wanting to enlist a deportation force that would deport nearly 16 million Americans, wanting to enact at our borders a religious test banning all Muslims. Well, I think that's a little bit of a reason why Thomas Donahue said when it comes to trade, especially, Donald Trump doesn't know what he's talking about. Everybody in here has at their right hand an iPhone. That's due to Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, his father is a Syrian refugee. Under Donald Trump's America, Steve Jobs wouldn't have a place in the United States. Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, knows and understands that there is and must be comprehensive immigration reform, as the left and the right have tried to do over the years, that we must give folks an earned pathway to citizenship, and we don't rip families apart by ending, as Donald Trump would have us do, what is known as birthright citizenship here in the United States. And when you get to an issue that I believe is at the core of why every single one of you are here today, what will our economy look like under the next presidential administration? Donald Trump doesn't fare much better either. Mark Zandi, an advisor to Republican presidential candidate John McCain, he's reviewed the tax plans, the economic plans for both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. What he's forecasted, under Donald Trump's America, it would be a loss of nearly 3.5 million jobs, 140,000 right here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. He's called Donald Trump's plan a recession waiting to happen, increasing our national debt to over $30 trillion. And we all know what Donald Trump has told us about debt. He likes to play with it and will default regularly on it. His history tells us how he treats businesses, especially small businesses. As the doors to the Taj Mahal were closed, the sign was taken down. Well, it wasn't just the Taj Mahal lights that went off. It's 253 contractors, small businesses, plumbers and painters. The list goes on, that Donald Trump felt the need to stiff while he himself got rich. Folks, it's the reason why the Wall Street Journal published an article over the course of this past weekend as they looked at 45 advisors to the White House Council on Economics. And if you go all the way back to Richard Nixon, none of those 45 advisors, including 17 Republicans, are supporting Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, her plan, which was reviewed by Mark Zandi, shows a growth of over 10 million jobs, 140,000 right here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. This is a woman who knows what small business is all about. She was born into it, her father being a small business owner. She's put forth her plan to help 2/3 of our American businesses, which are small businesses, making sure that they are incentivized to be able to provide health care. They get a standardized tax deduction that is needed. They have a seat at her table when it comes to economic development. They get the access to the capital that they need to be the entrepreneurs, which is the spirit of the United States. Under Hillary Clinton, we see growth, and under Donald decline, we see a projected loss of jobs, not just in the Commonwealth, but nationally. Where we are today, where the U.S. Chamber has even said today, Donald Trump is not qualified. He is temperamentally unfit to be not only the President of the United States, but the next Commander-in-Chief. It's why Meg Whitman, a president of Hewlett-Packard, a big Republican donor, has no trouble coming out and telling you she's supporting Hillary Clinton. It's why 50 GOP national security advisors have no problem coming out telling you they are for Hillary Clinton. It's why when you look at the past economic advisors dating all the way back to Richard Nixon, they have no problem telling you they are not supporting Donald Trump. They are supporting Hillary Clinton. They all have in common what it appears, the fact that all those buttons weren't picked up by anybody. I looked around the room. Congressman Yarmuth left y'all some buttons, and nobody seems to have had the courage to put one on that says they're supporting Donald Trump, the Trump-Pence ticket for 2016. I'm wearing my button proudly, folks, because I believe, as you and many other business leaders across this nation do, we are stronger together than we are divided. This election, it's more than policies, it's more than the plans that we all know Hillary Clinton has countless numbers of. It's about whether we believe that every family should have a fighting chance to live the American dream. That fundamentally, do we lift ourselves up by pushing others down? Do we reach out and offer a helping hand, or walk on by because it enriches us as opposed to helping others? What's at stake in this election is the message that we are sending, not just here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, not just across the nation, but globally. The nation, and especially our kids, are watching, and what they are seeing, it's wrong. The question is, what message will we send on November 8th? When we go to the ballot box, because sitting it out is not an option, and the options are Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, will we say it's okay to have someone as a presidential nominee that believes it's all right to refer to women as fat, ugly pigs? Will we say it's okay to have a presidential nominee that wants to attack a Gold Star family, calls prisoners of war not heroes, has the audacity to dishonor our veterans, especially our Iraq War veterans, by continuing to praise Saddam Hussein? When we go to the voting booth, will we say that it's okay to have someone who continually will not disavow David Duke and who says his movement is only getting stronger by Donald Trump being the Republican nominee? When we go to the ballot box, will we say that it's okay to have someone who wants to be President of the United States actually encourage foreign superpowers to meddle in our elections? Is it okay to have someone that wants to be President of the United States actually incite and encourage violence against an opposing candidate? My hope is that we resoundingly say, no, it is not okay. The huge number of not just Democrats, but Republicans and independents who are lining up behind Secretary Clinton tell you, and especially those business leaders all across this nation, something that has never been done before, something that many of you might not have ever done before, and that is that it's okay to vote for a Democrat. Folks, this election has a lot at stake. And I don't believe we wouldn't tolerate this rhetoric on the playground, we shouldn't be tolerating it in somebody that wants to be president of the United States. It's not funny. It's not challenging political correctness. It is simply wrong. At its core, Donald Trump is not teaching America how to be great. He's teaching America how to hate. He wants to go back to a chapter in our history books that we didn't even like to learn about when we were in history class. That's not the America that the business leaders here in this room or across this nation aspire for the United States. This past weekend, yesterday actually, we celebrated the 53rd March on Washington. Reverend King said it best as he said, "Let freedom ring, let freedom ring." He said, "We cannot walk alone." Secretary Clinton realizes that. Our future is dependent on us giving ourselves the security we need nationally and globally to grow the United States. You can't do that with someone who is unstable and as indecisive as Donald Trump has not only shown us over the course of this campaign, but as his record actually indicates. On Friday, the 96th anniversary of Women's Equality Day occurred. Susan B. Anthony fought over 72 years for the passage of the 19th Amendment. That's how long it took for women to be able to get the right to vote, for me to stand here before you today to be able to place my name on the ballot as a woman. We are 71 days away from a presidential election, and my hope is that we are 71 days away from electing our first female president. Thank you all very, very much.